Welcome to Backstage with Richard Ridge. We are here sitting in Cobble Hill Park in Brooklyn. I am here with one of my favorite people who is giving one of the most glorious performances this season as Arthur in Lincoln Center's production of Camelot, Andrew Burnap. Well, I am thrilled to be sitting with you here in Brooklyn. Where are we?
We are in Cobble Hill Park, which is my favorite place to come and just relax and see all the birds. And now it's like the particularly great time to go because all the flowers are coming and, you know, little babies running by and with their little mommies and daddies. It's like, it's the best.
Well, it's also very calming for you, I'm sure, because what you do in Camelot 8 times a week is absolutely amazing.
Thank you very much.
I mean, you know, the last time I spoke to you was opening night.
Yes.
I mean, have you been able to sort of like put all of that behind you, like rehearsals, teching, previews, the opening?
Yes, it was quite a crazy couple of months.
Yeah.
You know, anybody who does this knows that it's like 12, 13-hour days.
Yeah.
You're constantly figuring it out. You're learning from an audience each and every night what works, what doesn't, what can be improved upon, what, you know, what should change. And the hours are just really, really grueling. So that's exactly how I felt for about 2 months. But now I get to sort of just have a little bit of my life back, which makes it better, actually. Once you can sort of release your grip on a show like that and just let it live and breathe and take on a life of its own for every audience, I mean, that's where, you know, the beauty of a long run lies.
Yeah. You are sensational in this show.
Thank you.
I mean, how excited are you to be a part of this beautiful production of Camelot?
It's sort of beyond articulation. When I first found out about it, I didn't know Camelot at all before they approached me, and I saw the creative team, and before I even researched it or read a lick of it, I would kind of like, I would be such an idiot to say no to Aaron Sorkin and Bart Scher and Lincoln Center and Lerner and Lowe. I mean, it's sort of like a dream team. And then I found out that they were interested in Philippa Soo and Jordan Donica, and then reading the script was just the icing on the cake. It became a sort of like pinch me process, not only because of the material and again that creative team, but everyone in that room is so lovely and joyful. There's not a jerk amongst them, which makes you think that you're the jerk, always. But it's true. It's such a lovely group of people that it's just a joy to go to work every single day.
How early do you get to the theater?
I get there about an hour and a half, hour and 15 before. Try to settle, try to sort of convince myself that I can do this again. Convince my body that it can do that again. You know, we're on a rake, and a pretty severe rake at that. So my back every single day sort of is the last member of my body to say, okay, fine, we have to do this. And then I eat something. I'll usually eat a salad, something that's easy, that I won't throw up 5 minutes beforehand. And then warm up, try to joke around, try to convince myself that I'm not doing a show that night. It's funny how I have to trick myself that this actually is not a big deal, and then take that leap of faith and see what happens.
Because it's mammoth. I mean, this is truly one of those musical theater roles. It's like a musical King Lear.
Yes,
right?
Totally. Yeah, I mean, I thought, you know, the last play that I did almost killed me. Yeah. It was a 7-hour epic, and I thought, you know, oh, this one will be so easy compared to that. Yeah, I was very wrong about that. It is very different in terms of what is required of me, but it's no less daunting and no less exhausting, just in very different ways. But at the end of the day, you know, I truly leave that stage with a sense of euphoria. Whether or not, you know, everyone in the audience loved it is not up to me. It's the fact that I feel like I have just gone through an epic journey, and that's a dream for an actor.
Yeah. What unlocked Arthur for you? Because I love your version of Arthur. I've seen Richard Burton, I've seen Richard Harris. They were all older Arthurs.
Yes.
But it makes so much sense to start Arthur off the way you do.
Yes.
And you grow into the king.
Yeah.
And I think your arc is so much better, right?
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I think the thing that keyed me in right away was Arthur's heart.
Yeah.
His true, deep belief, which I think is true of all the Arthurs, and that he believes that human beings can be better, and we can actually create systems that work for people, that aren't just servicing those in power. And that was, you know, we live in a world today which is, you could say, is sort of ever darkening and do we have ways out, and are there actually concrete rays of hope that we can attach ourselves to? And I struggle with that every single day with the headlines that are gracing our phones. So that was the first sort of thing that I could really latch myself onto. And then his self-deprecating sense of, do I deserve to be here?
Yeah.
What actor can't identify with that? Of, do I deserve to be on the stage? Do I deserve to have this career? Do I deserve to have these opportunities? I mean, I think everyone struggles with that. Certainly when you reach a certain level, that there is that imposter syndrome that sort of doesn't go away, and you kind of have to work every day to silence that. So those were things that I could really sort of say, okay, yes, I understand that. And then his wit.
Yeah.
How funny he is, how sweet he is. Those were things that I sort of, right from the get-go, I said, okay, I know what these are.
Yeah. Well, you know, I'm sure it's a track meet for you, because not only do you act, you sing, you dance, you sword fight.
Yes, the sword fighting is so much fun. I mean, the sort of like 8-year-old nerd watching Lord of the Rings and Harry Potter, and you know, that in me, you know, BH, who is our fight choreographer, was so great because he's such a storyteller, and he wants the fights to be a part of the story and not just an impressive fight. So working with him was a pleasure and a privilege. And just having 2 giant swords in my hand, getting to throw them around. I mean, you know, who doesn't want to do that?
Not one, 2 swords.
2 swords, baby.
Did you, because I mean, I spoke to B.H. Barry. He's retiring on this show.
Yeah.
What an incredible career he's had. But he said, what a high it is to go out on this, teaching you two to do what you do.
I'm so glad. Yeah, he's a legend.
Yeah.
I mean, he's so, everyone in that room, everyone who is so successful in their right, they all subscribe to this idea that best idea wins.
Yeah.
So we were all collaborating, all contributing to the story in small and large ways. And so to be able to sword fight with him was amazing.
How many weeks in rehearsal? Because your sword fighting is brilliant. The 2 of you, you and Jordan together.
Oh wow! So we started with just finger fighting at the end of January. We graduated to bamboo sticks, and then we finally got swords. And so we were doing that probably every day for 8 weeks until we finally got to the point where we could do it up to speed, and now it feels like it's second nature. And every day there are still some things that are still like little sparks that fly, or little things that change that make it so that it feels dangerous and alive. So yeah, it's so much fun.
Okay, so finger fighting is to get it into your muscle memory? Seriously, is that what it's for?
Yeah, so you're
literally like this?
Yes, so you're like this. So we're like, you know, we're 6-7 feet apart, and what we'll do is we'll go shoulder, thigh, shoulder, thigh, and we'll just do that, and you will match it up, and so that sort of makes it very concrete in terms of your intention of where you're going. And so yeah, it starts with finger fighting. It's so much fun.
Because you two are so close, like, oh my God, is someone going to get hurt here?
I know.
But it's
I
real.
know. Yes.
It looks so great.
It feels very, very real. And that sort of, I mean, the reason it feels so real is because, you know, like acting, anything, the exchange is real. It's under imaginary circumstances, but we are really, you know, I am really going for his shoulder and stuff each time, and I hope he stops me each night, and vice versa. So yeah, it's just a joy to be able to do.
Singing Lerner and Lowe. This is one of the most beautiful scores.
Yeah, geniuses.
Yeah.
Geniuses. And one of the great days of this process, my birthday, was the day that we did the Sitzprobe, which is, of course, everybody watching, is the day that the orchestra joins us and we play through all of the songs. And the minute they started playing, you know, we have this giant orchestra. I believe it's the largest orchestra on Broadway right now. The minute they started playing that overture, I mean, just everyone, tears of joy were streaming down all of our faces, because it's to hear that profound music being played by such incredible musicians, and these incredible orchestrations, some of which are new and some of which have been around forever. It's just, I don't even know how to describe it. It feels like what heaven may sound like. You know, when those French horns play, that's what, I think that's what people describe, or when people, you know, when poets write, or when musicians put pen to paper, that's the feeling that they are articulating, which is that's glory, that is heaven. Yeah.
Sharing the stage with this incredible company. I mean, Pippa, Jordan, Dakin, I mean, all of them together. What is that like, doing that 8 times a week?
You know, Dakin is so funny. Dakin once described his career as, I'm in 1 minute of everything. I was watching Veep the other night. There's Dakin. I was watching True Grit a couple weeks ago. There's Dakin. I mean, he's everywhere, and he's such a legend. And he's one of those actors where you learn from him every night. There's just, he's so alive in everything that he does. Something is a little different, the way he listens, the way he throws the ball at you. He really is truly a master of his craft. And then Philippa Sue. I mean, I am paid every night to fall in love with her. It's the easiest job in the world. And then Jordan, who is the most swoon-worthy baritone, I think, you know, that has ever existed. He's so much fun, and he's so light, yet he's so sexy and swaggering and perfect. I mean, it's just, yeah, you could not have assembled a more perfect group of people.
Yeah, and then there's your director, Bart Scher. I mean, being in the room with him and finding your Arthur with him. Like an Aaron Sorkin.
Yes, I know.
I mean, right?
Legends. I mean, so I've been a fan of Bart's for a very, very long time. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to see his South Pacific because when my parents came in to see it, I decided to throw a party at my house. So, you know, we don't really talk about that. But since
the show
then,
you missed because of the party.
Yes, exactly. But he is someone who has such a clear artistic vision, yet at the same time is so open to other people's interpretation. He is so egoless in that room. For a man who is so successful and so central to the American theater, he is such a easy, light person. And so much so that I would really love to try my hand at directing someday, and he is someone that I really want to sit down and learn from.
Yeah.
And I've told him such, and he has welcomed me with open arms. He's just an amazing guy. And then Aaron Sorkin, you know, one of the greatest American writers ever, one of the great users of the English language, to be able to say his words every night and to contribute to his legacy, it's an honor.
Yeah. I want to go back to the beginning. Growing up, what were your earliest creative outlets as a kid, and how did the Big Apple Circus play into that?
The Big Apple Circus. Okay, so so every summer, my cousins and I would gather in Westerly, Rhode Island, where my grandmother lived, and we would go see the Big Apple Circus, and we'd see. I believe her name was Grandma. She was like the central character of the Big Apple Circus. Yes, exactly. And always so funny and so great. Anyway, one year, I got pulled in to the Big Apple, so I can't believe I'm talking about this. And I conducted the band, and I remember the crowd going wild, I think, and I remember feeling the surge of feelings of thinking that, oh my God, I just did something that changed people's hearts and minds or something. You know, I couldn't have articulated it at the time. At the time, I probably would have just said I loved it when everybody screamed and clapped for me. But it gave me this feeling of influence.
Yeah.
In a way that I had never, ever felt before. And my grandmother would tell you that I was always an improver of the truth. So I would always tell some tales that were almost true. And that sort of lent itself to storytelling and to being able to be in front of a group of people and change their, as I said before, hearts and minds in some way, shape, or form. So that was my first like real thing. And then I remember seeing a play. There was this big monster in the play, and I remember being terrified of it. And I remember thinking, I want to be able to do that. I want to make people feel things like that. And from then on, it just sort of, you know, I got addicted to it.
All right, but when you were 5 or 6, I think for Christmas, you wanted, what'd you ask for Christmas that year?
Oh God, you've done your research. I asked for a top hat and a cane.
That's how it's done.
That's how it's done. And I think my mom was always sort of like, you know, pleasantly surprised by it. I think my dad was sort of like, who have we created? My dad, who is this lovely, quiet, quite conservative man who just wants to be at home with his dog, and he's worked in a hospital for 30 years and loves helping people, but also loves his time with his family.
Yeah.
And here's this kid who's just flinging open the doors and singing, and one of the first tapes of me at home is I tell them to stop filming because I say, quote, I have to be handsome for this. So he knew quite early that I was one of those.
I love that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, you went to University of Rhode Island.
I did.
Okay, how life-changing was the Rocky Horror Picture Show and Singing in the Rain?
Funny enough, I just said my dad was a very, you know, conservative man. My dad, who would always say, like, after a show, great job, I'm parked in the fire lane, so we have to go. those were his first two things that he would say.
Yeah.
He was overcome when he saw Rocky Horror Show.
Yeah.
His son in fishnet stockings and a wig, making out with guys, girls, every creature that walks. He just loved it, and I found out because when he was in high school and college, he would go see Rocky Horror Picture Show, and he memorized all of those talkbacks, and he would throw things at the screen because he loved just letting loose in that way, which I found so interesting. But that was an experience that taught me freedom of expression. That, for some reason, I got in that costume and became that other person and really just let loose. And I sort of realized, oh, that's what it is. We are after choices that liberate us as actors, that make us go into a full reign of expression. And also, it was just a blast every single night. And I was devastated when it was over. And yeah, that was a real sort of pillar in my journey. And then I got to do, you know, the University of Rhode Island provided me with something that I don't know many people get in their undergrad, which is the experience of having a relationship with an audience. I got to do that over and over and over again, and I am eternally grateful for them for that.
Okay, then you went to Yale.
I did.
I mean, I read all about your auditions there. That's got to be like the craziest thing, right?
Crazy, crazy. So I remember...
Should we hold for a second? This is what happens when you sit in the park.
Yeah, lovely. This is I remember from the park, Central Park.
Yep. Oh, we're going to get into it.
Okay, got you.
We're going to get into that's the best part. We'll talk about the squirrels and all the kids that live underneath there.
Right.
Okay.
You want to do it again?
Yeah, so let's go back. We just had an airplane or something fly by us here. So auditioning for Yale, like what made you say, I want to go to Yale Drama School?
So funny. So I remember there was an actor who was 2 years above me at University of Rhode Island. His name was Corey Crew. An incredible actor. I looked up to him so much. He was one of my greatest friends. And he was auditioning for grad schools. And so I thought, oh, if Corey's going to do it, I have to do it. And I don't know that I've ever told him that, actually. But so I thought, that's what you just do. You just go to grad school after undergrad. I really didn't have anybody telling me otherwise. And I remember I said, I'm going to audition for Yale, Juilliard, NYU, and Brown. And I remember one of my teachers at University of Rhode Island, who was a tougher teacher, the only one that wasn't a sort of guiding light there, looked at me and said, "Who do you think you are?" I remember being like, I don't know, I think I'm an actor. This is where I want to go. I missed the Juilliard deadline because I was a lazy piece of crap. And then I was devastated by that, but okay, I'm going to audition everywhere else. Drove up to New Haven, auditioned for Ron Van Leeuwen and Walton Wilson. And I remember Ron Van Leeuwen saying something in that audition. He's saying, guess what? We want you to be good. And I sort of thought, oh yeah. I always thought about auditions as like, you know, the grumpy director sitting there with the choreographer thinking, yeah, go ahead.
When's my lunch coming?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, hurry up, thank you. We have a whole line. But no, they want you to be good. They want you to solve their problem of who to cast or who to accept. And so I went in there with a sense of joy and a sense of relief and a sense of like, oh yeah, just be good. And so I did my monologues. I remember Walton Wilson writing furiously on the thing, and he said, do you have any other things? I said, oh yeah, I got two more. I did another monologue. Okay, great. Sounds good. I sat down and thought, oh, that was fun. A list comes out at the end. One of the students says, if you're on the list, great, stay. If you're not, thank you. That's all that's required of you. The list goes up. I see my name there. I take a picture of it. I text all my teachers. I'm in the next round. I go in and I do my monologues for both of them, Ron and Walton. And I remember Ron gave me a note and said, all the questions that's in your monologue, really ask me all those questions. And so I remember asking him all those questions. And I finished the monologue. It was completely different than how I had rehearsed it. And I sort of looked at him like, huh. And he started laughing. He said, what? And I said, that was just very different than anything I've ever done. And he was like, well, you just did some acting. And I remember feeling like, oh my God, this is so cool. I did an interview. I told them that, I basically told them, you know, the truths of my life. I did a callback weekend. I remember I went in for the interview for that. The three people after me came out sobbing, saying like they just told their sob stories, and I thought, I'm not going to get in because I didn't cry. I didn't tell them some horrible fact about my life. And then I got in, and those 3 years were some of the greatest 3 years of my life.
I hope you took that picture and showed it to your teacher.
Oh, I still have that
University
picture.
of Rhode Island.
I have that picture. There were two names on it, and mine was on, and I was floored. I was so happy to just have that.
Yeah.
And then getting in was, you know, just icing on the cake.
Okay, we had the airplane go above us.
Yes.
Let's talk about Central Park, the Delacorte.
Yeah.
Which was, oh, I think someone's going to come by for us. So come on through. It's all good.
Yeah.
Aw.
Hello.
Have a fabulous day today.
Oh, thank you very much.
Yeah. Aw.
That's why I love the park.
This is what's great about this,
I know,
right?
right?
So let's talk about doing the Delacorte. So
Yes.
what did you star in there?
Okay, so the first one I did was King Lear
Yes.
with John Lithgow,
you
which
played
was,
who?
and I played Spear Carrier
Carrier?
#7
Number 7.
with, and Yahya Abdul-Mateen,
Yes.
one of the greatest actors, was playing Spear Carrier #6. And
So
we
you learned
always
a lot.
said, exactly, we always said that the audience does not know that this is about Spear Carriers #6 and 7.
Yeah.
Anyway, and that was, and Annette Bening and Jessica Hecht and J.O. Sanders. I mean, that
was
was one of, like,
Yeah.
talk about being a student. It was between my first and second year at Yale.
Wow.
Talk about a master class each
Yeah.
and every day. I mean, and I remember I wrote this to Annette Bening. Every single thing that my acting teachers talked about, she would live every single performance, and I wrote that in her card because it was just so amazing to watch. It was just, yes, a masterclass each and every day. And then 2 years later, which was directed by Daniel Sullivan, and my favorite thing about Daniel Sullivan, who's the sweetest man, but of course he doesn't have time to learn all the Spear Carrier names. He would, when he would want to give us a note, he would lean over to his assistant director, Maggie, and he would say, Andrew, would you please? He would get our name that day. I loved that so much. I said, God bless you. So then, 2 years later, I auditioned for him for Troilus and Cressida.
Yeah.
And I got the part, which was also just...
The lead.
The lead, yes. And that was a really difficult experience, and I'll tell you why. I graduated school and was really focused on being a good actor, which was death, because it kept me from actually doing the work and then being a good actor in people's minds. I had to be good each and every night. And I think it ate me up inside because I wasn't focused on just doing the part or telling the story. I was focused on my own ego. And so it was a great lesson in you have to let yourself go. You have to let the expectations and people's opinion of you be a thing. Just be a thing that is outside of yourself and focus on the scene, the present moment, getting what you want. So while it was very, very difficult and I had a really rough time doing it, I am so thankful for that lesson because it gave me the space to actually be an actor.
Well, I'll tell you, so many audience members fell in love with you in The Inheritance.
Yes.
And you won the Tony Award for Best Actor.
Crazy.
But I want to go back to the beginning of this because Matthew Lopez is a friend of mine.
Yep.
He was a friend of yours.
Yep.
And what did he tell you early on in that whole entire process?
So I did The Legend of Georgia McBride with Matthew in LA. So we did that run and that was so much fun and amazing. And then I remember this play came across my agent's desk and they said, we want to push you for the role of Adam Leo. And I talked to Matthew about it, and I said, "Hey, Matthew, my agent just got the Inheritance, you know, for the role of Adam Leo. I don't even think I got the Leo part out of me." He said, "Absolutely not. You're too old for it. Not going to happen." Okay, got it. So anyway, so he's like, you know, we're doing workshops. Maybe you'll be a part of that. So I did a workshop. I played Young Man 4, I believe. And John Lithgow was in that workshop, John Glover, Corey Michael Smith, some incredible actors, Gabe Ebert, amazing. And I remember reading that play and thinking, I will pay to be a stage prop in this. This play, it's going to change everything, is what my feeling was. Did that workshop. It was amazing. 3 weeks later, another workshop comes along. They want you to do the same part. Absolutely. My agents were like, we don't see this for you unless you're a main role. And I said, you guys have no idea. I'm doing it. Matthew calls me 2 nights before the workshop and says, hey, so we've reached out to a bunch of actors that we want to play the role of Toby, but no one's available. Would you just read it for the week? And I said, oh my God, Toby Darling, absolutely, yes. He said, quote, ultimately, you will never play the part in production, but I just want to see what you can do for it. I said, oh, great, absolutely great. And what he gave me, I don't think he knew he gave me this, but what he gave me was this feeling of, I can do no wrong. There's not a chance I'm going to get this, so I'm just going to use this as an opportunity to act for a week and play this amazing character for a week. So I did. And lesson learned, go into every audition like you're never going to get it, because what it gives you is this sense of ultimate freedom. Did it for the week, fell in love with Stephen Daldry, fell in love with Justin Martin, fell in love with the play over again, fell in love with Toby Darling. I think Toby Darling fell in love with me a little bit. And then I forgot it. Months pass. Matthew sends me a text. Hey, by the way, you know, Daldry hasn't stopped talking about you. Okay, whatever. If I've learned anything, forget it as much as possible. Another month passes. Hey, we're doing auditions for Toby, and again, Stephen, you're on Stephen's list. Need to forget that. Forget it, forget it, forget it. I'm in Los Angeles the day before Thanksgiving. I got a call, I got a text from my manager. She says, call me. I texted her because I think I was mad at her about something. It's like, about what? She's like, it's about the inheritance. I was like, what about it? She's like, call me. I call her. She's like, you just got the offer for Toby Darling. And I pulled my car over and I just started crying because I was like, this is going to change my life. And how right I was. I was with that play for the better part of 3 years. Again, as I said earlier, it almost killed me, but it also gave me a new life. It gave me a new career. I'm eternally grateful to Matthew and to Stephen and Justin and our producers, Sonia and Tom, who believed in me when I was absolutely no one. And here I am now at Lincoln Center, back on Broadway with a Tony Award. If you had told me that all this was going to happen, I would have told you that you were insane. And please stay away from me. I'm just, every time I talk about it, I'm overcome with gratitude. It was the greatest journey of my life.
When you heard your name, Tony Night, is it an out-of-body experience? Like, did I actually hear, should I stand up? Did I actually hear my voice?
Oh my God.
My name? Did I actually hear my name?
So the funniest part about that was I heard my name, I got up, and my mom held on to me for dear life, and she wouldn't let me go. And I remember, we had masks on. I was like, Mom, I have to go up there. I had a whole speech prepared, didn't even take it out. I think I blacked out. I don't even remember what I said. I was completely overcome. I remember sitting down, telling my mom, there's no way I'm winning because look, we're off in like the partial view seating. Like this is where they stick all the, you know, the people. Yeah, exactly. And I remember thinking, there's no way. And then it happened, and you know, life has never been the same. And I think, you know, it also taught me. It was a lifelong dream, of course, to win a Tony Award, absolutely. But it also taught me, oh yeah, that's actually not why I do it. That is, I've been using this phrase a lot today, it's icing on the cake. It's so incredible to be publicly validated in that way. But the reason we do it is for people like this woman who came up to me the other day who had tears in her eyes after Camelot and said, I saw the original. This one was very different. It took me about half an hour to get used to it, but I felt the pain of these characters in a way that I had never before. And the reality of her experience that I was then confronted with after that show, that I said to myself, you have to remember this because that is the reason you do it. For that one person in the audience who has that experience of being moved or being changed by a piece, that is the reason why. And her coming up to me and saying that sort of filled me for days. So again, awards, great, love them, incredible, so much fun, but the reason we do it is for the people like that.
I just have to ask you, you've stepped into film and television.
Yes.
I don't know how much you can tell me, but you have a lot of projects that are getting ready to come out.
Yes, yes, yes.
I ran into Rachel Zegler the other day, and we talked a little bit about Snow White. Can you tell us anything? You're not allowed to say anything.
I can tell you...
That you're in the movie.
Yes, that I'm in the movie, that I play the equivalent of the prince. It's a new character named Jonathan, and the only thing I can say is that instead of a prince saving Snow White, it is the story of a young woman saving herself and everyone around her.
Nice.
Yes.
You've already filmed it?
Yes.
Well, that's great. You have that behind you. Okay.
Yes.
And then you have the front room?
The front room. That's right.
Okay. Filmed yet or not?
Yes, all done.
With Brandy?
With Brandy.
Okay. Those directors scare me. I saw The Lighthouse. I had to watch Liza Minnelli on YouTube afterwards, like doing like Candor and Ebb.
It's crazy. They are geniuses in their own right. The way that they view the world is so unique and so singular that being a part of their vision for this horror story. I mean, it was, you know, there were moments that I was scared doing it. And we did a lot of night shoots, which were challenging in and of themselves. I had never done that before. We were in this super spooky house in the middle of New Jersey. But yeah, it was so much fun. I'd never done anything like that before. I mean, what a cool opportunity.
My final question is, looking back at that 5-year-old or at the Big Apple Circus, being pulled out of the audience, conducting, you can probably smell the sawdust still, right? Seriously, right?
Very much so, yeah.
Would you ever think that you'd be starring on Broadway now?
No.
And everything that's happened for you so far?
No, not in this way. Not in the way that it's happened. I feel so lucky, and I have been supported by an incredible group of people everywhere I've gone, from the town I was raised in, South Kingstown, Rhode Island, to the University of Rhode Island, to Yale School of Drama, to each and every cast I've been a part of. I've sort of really lucked out in the people who have guided me towards where I find myself today. If you had told me that it would happen this quickly, that my dream would be realized, and that I would get to do this each and every day, no matter how hard it is, those 2 show days, I just remind myself of that 5-year-old, then again at 13, then again in undergrad, of thinking, is it going to happen for me? And all of my friends who now have their own successes. I was just walking with my friend Edmund Donovan, who's one of the greatest actors that I will ever know, and we were walking down the street thinking, you know, do you remember sitting in our little New Haven apartments thinking, are we going to do this? Are we going to be able to have these careers in this really odd and sometimes scary industry? And I just am filled with gratitude for the opportunities I've been given, for being ready for those opportunities, and for all the people who have lifted me up.
Well, like I said, we're sitting here in Cobble Hill Park on a Friday. You're getting ready to do a Friday night, a Saturday matinee, a Saturday night, and a Sunday.
That's right. That's right.
Like I said, I think I've told you this before. If I haven't, I love watching you on stage because you can see into your soul through your eyes.
Oh, thank you so much.
And I know that's the window to everything, but you are phenomenal at what you do, and just enjoy this journey that you're on with CAMELOT.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining me here today
so
for Broadway World.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.